California drivers are facing what multiple economic analysts describe as an unprecedented challenge at the fuel pump. According to research published by the University of Southern California's Marshall School of Business, gasoline prices in California could reach between $7.35 and $8.43 per gallon by the end of 2026. This projection represents a potential 75% increase from current price levels. The study, led by Professor Michael A. Miche, examines how upcoming refinery closures combined with existing regulatory costs could affect California's fuel supply and pricing. As of January 2026, California's average gasoline price stands at approximately $4.79 per gallon, already the highest in the nation, according to ATA data. The projections suggest this could nearly double within the year. To understand how analysts arrived at these projections, we need to examine what is changing in California's fuel infrastructure. Two major refineries are scheduled to close in 2025 and 2026. Phillips 66 completed closure of its Los Angeles area refinery in October 2025. Valero Energy announced its Benicia refinery will shut down in April 2026. Together, these facilities represent approximately 20% of California's in-state refining capacity. According to Professor Miche's analysis, these closures will reduce California's gasoline production by between 6.6 million and 13.1 million gallons per day. California currently consumes over 13 million gallons of gasoline daily, so this reduction creates a significant supply challenge that must be addressed through increased imports. Separate research from University of California Davis economists Armando Colina, Bulat Gafarov, and Professor Jens Hilscher examined the same refinery closures from a different analytical approach. Their study, published through the UC Giannini Foundation of Agricultural Economics, projects that California prices could rise by $1.21 per gallon by August 2026, when the full effect of both closures is realized. The UC Davis economists note that their projection assumes no other significant market changes occur. They state that almost immediately after the first refinery closure, there could be a 40-cent increase in California gas prices. As the market reaches equilibrium after both refineries close around August 2026, they expect to see the full $1.21 increase materialize. Andy Lipo, president of Lipo Oil Associates, told reporters that gas prices in California could surge past $5 per gallon in 2026 due to the reduced number of operating refineries. Lipo explained that the loss of refineries will result in California having much shorter gasoline supplies, and that prices will rise on a sustained level because California will need to attract imported gasoline month in and month out. The mechanism driving these price increases involves both supply reduction and the unique characteristics of California's fuel market. California requires special fuel blends that meet stringent air quality regulations. These formulations cannot be easily replaced with fuel from other states or countries. According to industry analysts, California must import fuel that meets these specific standards, and attracting sufficient imports when domestic production declines typically requires offering higher prices. Several additional cost factors compound the baseline supply reduction. California's low-carbon fuel standard, which was updated in 2024, requires producers of carbon-intensive fuels to purchase credits from producers of lower-carbon alternatives. According to state estimates, this program will increase fuel costs by $162 billion through 2046. State excise taxes also contribute to California's fuel prices. Professor Miche's analysis notes that over the past 30 to 50 years, California's state excise tax on gasoline has increased by 253%. When combined with sales taxes, environmental fees, and other regulatory compliance costs, these charges add substantial amounts to the per-gallon price consumers pay. The cap-and-trade program, which requires fuel distributors to purchase carbon emission allowances, adds additional costs. Senate Bill X-122, which established minimum fuel inventory requirements for refiners, and Assembly Bill X-21, which created new regulatory oversight of refiners, both add compliance costs that industry representatives say are passed through to consumers. Geographic constraints also affect California's ability to respond to supply reductions. California does not have incoming fuel pipelines from other regions, according to Julian Vogel, who studies commodity prices at San Jose State University. This means California must rely on maritime transport to import fuel, which is more expensive than pipeline delivery. The implications extend beyond individual consumers filling their gas tanks. Professor Mish's report notes that reductions in fuel supplies of this magnitude will affect multiple supply chains across many industries. Air travel, food delivery, agricultural production, manufacturing, electrical power generation, distribution, groceries, and healthcare all rely on transportation fuels. Price increases in gasoline and diesel ripple through these sectors, affecting costs for goods and services throughout the California economy. For diesel fuel, which is critical for trucking and agriculture, some analysts have projected even higher price points. Energy Newsbeat reported that diesel prices might reach $10 per gallon during shortage periods, threatening food supply chains and raising grocery costs. While this represents a more extreme scenario than the gasoline projections, it illustrates the range of possibilities analysts are considering. In response to these projections, California Governor Gavin Newsom directed the California Energy Commission in March to work closely with refiners on short-term and long-term planning. According to a statement from the governor's office, this directive aims to help ensure that Californians continue to have access to a safe, affordable, and reliable supply of transportation fuels. The California Energy Commission issued a statement saying it remains committed to working with stakeholders to explore options to ensure an affordable, reliable, and safe transportation fuel supply. However, the agency faces limited options for quickly replacing lost refining capacity, as building new refineries takes years and faces significant regulatory and financial hurdles. Governor Newsom's office also pointed to the state's gas price gouging law, signed in previous years, which established independent petroleum oversight. According to gubernatorial spokesperson Daniel Villasenor, in the 2 years since the law was enacted, the state has avoided severe gasoline price spikes, like the historic 2022 spike, saving Californians billions of dollars at the pump. However, Senate Republicans, including Minority Leader Brian Jones of San Diego, have cited Professor Mish's projections as evidence of what they describe as a looming energy and economic crisis. Senator Jones sent a letter to Governor Newsom calling for urgent action to prevent the refinery closures. Jones stated that if the governor does not act, Californians will be blindsided by sticker shock at the pump and skyrocketing prices on everyday goods. The political debate around these projections has intensified scrutiny of Professor Mish's analysis. Governor Newsom's office questioned aspects of Mish's methodology and noted his previous consulting work. Mish responded that his analysis is entirely data-driven, using publicly available information from the state of California and federal government sources. He emphasized that his work examines objective economic factors including refinery capacity, seasonal fuel blends, global spot prices, and consumer demand patterns. Miske stated that the study is not a doomsday prediction, but rather a risk assessment designed to help policymakers and consumers understand the trajectory and prepare accordingly. He noted that the exact price point could vary based on numerous market variables, but that the models consistently indicate upward price pressure. The UC Davis economists offered a potential mitigation strategy in their analysis. They suggested that changing regulatory constraints in California to allow more imports might help avoid some price increases. However, they acknowledged that even this approach may not significantly decrease the coming price increases due to infrastructure constraints and the specialized nature of California's fuel requirements. Professor Miche suggested several policy options that could potentially moderate price increases. These include rolling back the state excise tax, delaying low-carbon fuel standard implementation, or capping cap-and-trade costs at fixed amounts. He indicated these changes would be beneficial to California consumers, though implementing any of them would require legislative action and involve trade-offs with environmental policy goals.